Right now, you can open a map on your phone and watch a small blue dot tell you where you are. You type a destination. The route appears. A voice tells you when to turn. It feels normal now. Almost invisible. You can enter a place you have never seen, cross streets you do not understand, build almost no memory of them, and still arrive safely at the door. The phone knows where you are before you do. That is the miracle. That is also the problem. Because for most of human history, there was no blue dot. No satellite signal. No street name. No glowing line across the screen. There was only land, weather, memory, fear, hunger, and the terrible fact that if you walked the wrong way for long enough, no machine would come looking for you. A wrong turn was not inconvenient. It could be fatal. Now place the same body in a much older world. No roads, no maps, no compass, no clock, no emergency call. A person leaves camp before sunrise, carrying stone tools and maybe a wooden spear. Food exists somewhere, but not everywhere. Water exists somewhere, but not always where it was before. Animals move. Seasons shift. Tracks vanish. Darkness comes whether you are ready or not. The body remembers distance through aching legs. The eyes read hills, tree lines, river bends, stars, animal trails, and wind. The group has to know where safety is, where danger is, and where dry seasons hide water. And over all of it hangs one of the oldest human fears: separation. Being lost. So here is the question most people never think to ask. What did ancient humans do before GPS told them where to go? The answer is not just about navigation. It changes how we think about attention, memory, intelligence, and the bargain modern life has made with our own minds. Ancient humans were not wandering blindly through an empty world. They were building maps, but not always maps you could hold. Their maps lived in the body, the group, the stories, the landmarks, the stars, the repeated paths, and the memory of where fear or food had once been found. Modern GPS gives directions. Ancient navigation gave orientation. Those are not the same thing. Most people imagine ancient humans as walkers with good instincts, a little more alert than us, a little tougher. Maybe they followed animal tracks, watched the sun, and hoped for the best. But that picture is too small. It makes navigation sound like a trick when it was closer to a complete way of knowing the world. One hill seen from the east is not the same hill seen from the west. A river bend, a ridgeline, a patch of trees, the direction of wind, the place where birds gather before dusk, all of it could matter. You did not move through a neutral background. You moved through a remembered world. And archaeology tells a story much larger than a hunter finding his way back to camp. One striking example comes from the first human movements into Sahul, the Pleistocene landmass that included Australia, New Guinea, and Tasmania when sea levels were lower. Researchers have argued that reaching Sahul from Wallacea could not be explained well as a simple accident. The islands were never joined by land bridges. Water had to be crossed. In some models, successful arrival required choosing favorable conditions and maintaining direction across the sea. Picture that for a moment. Not a paved road, not a route on a map, a horizon of water. A group of people on some form of watercraft, carrying children, tools, memory, fear, and hope. The destination may be visible in some crossings, but visibility is not safety. Wind can push. Currents can betray. Clouds can hide the land. This suggests early humans judged distance, season, weather, direction, and survival as one system. That was navigation as collective intelligence. But here is where it gets even more interesting. Archaeological work in the Tanimbar Islands of southeast Indonesia found evidence of human occupation dating back about 42,000 years. The study places Tanimbar within debates about early movements between Sunda, Wallacea, and Sahul. The researchers argue that successful colonization there required advanced maritime technology, and the remains suggest people used both terrestrial and marine resources. Now imagine arriving on an island after a dangerous crossing. The problem does not end when feet touch shore. The first people there still have to learn the island: water, shelter, shellfish, stone, and the possible route back. A map is not just the line that gets you somewhere. A map is the memory that lets a place become livable. And this pattern appears again and again in the study of hunter-gatherer societies. Anthropologists who study hunter-gatherer space and place emphasize that many foraging societies are highly mobile, but not randomly wandering. Movement is structured by resources, seasons, social relationships, paths, and remembered places. The land is not simply physical. It is social. It is emotional. It is named. Picture a person walking a route they learned as a child. They do not need a paper map because every feature is attached to meaning. That bend has food. That hollow is dangerous after rain. That ridge is where people watch for animals. That place has a story. Modern people often separate geography from biography. Ancient and traditional wayfinding often fused them. Among Aboriginal Australian cultures, songlines offer one of the most powerful examples of this fusion, though they should never be reduced to mere travel instructions. They can carry law, ancestry, ceremony, ecological knowledge, identity, and connection to country. But researchers Ray Norris and Bill Yudumdu Maharni describe songlines as oral maps that can transmit navigational knowledge in cultures without writing. In some cases, songlines on Earth are mirrored by songlines in the sky, letting the sky serve as compass and memory aid. Think about what that means. A route is not only seen, it is sung. A sequence of places becomes a sequence of sounds. Memory is carried by rhythm. Direction is attached to story. The sky is not empty space above the traveler. It is part of the map. This sounds strange only because modern maps are silent. But human memory loves rhythm. It loves pattern, repetition, story, melody, and emotion. A line on a screen may tell you where to turn. A song can teach why the turn matters. That is not primitive. That is a memory technology. In the Arctic, Inuit navigation shows another form of the same intelligence. Ethnographic work on Inuit orienting in Igloolik describes a dynamic world of moving sea ice, seasonal extremes, animal migrations, and mobile people. Important frames of orientation include winds, shorelines, the mainland, open water, and the flow edge. Ice marks and sea marks are remembered as relationships. Now place yourself inside that world. Snow can cover the ground until everything looks the same. Wind can erase tracks. Ice can move. The horizon can blur until sky and land dissolve. To someone untrained, it looks empty. To someone who knows how to see, it is full of information. A snowdrift may reveal prevailing wind. The shape of ice may suggest pressure, movement, danger. The traveler is not separate from the environment, checking instructions from outside it. The traveler is inside the system. And that detail matters. Because GPS often gives you location without relationship. It can tell you where you are, but not always what that place means. Neuroscience gives this ancient skill a modern shadow. The hippocampus is strongly involved in spatial memory and cognitive mapping. In a famous study, Eleanor Maguire and colleagues found that licensed London taxi drivers, people who had spent years learning the city's complex street network, had larger posterior hippocampi compared with controls. The brain had not treated navigation as a minor task. It had treated it as training. Later research, using virtual navigation through London, showed that hippocampal and prefrontal regions are involved when people process street networks, plan routes, and replan during detours. When you truly navigate, you are not merely moving. You are simulating possible futures. That is a human capacity older than the city. And modern GPS changes how often we use it. A study by Luisa Damani and Veronique Boba found that greater lifetime GPS experience was associated with worse spatial memory during self-guided navigation. Their work also linked heavier GPS experience with weaker cognitive map formation and less landmark encoding. The pattern is unsettling. The more the device navigates, the less the person may need to. Your brain is efficient. It does not practice what the world no longer asks of it. Your hippocampus does not know that you are saving time. It only knows that the old work has been outsourced. It only knows that you are no longer building the map yourself. This is the human mechanism beneath the story. Navigation is not just knowing left from right. It is attention arranged into memory. Your eyes gather landmarks. Your body measures distance through movement. Your inner ear senses turns. Your brain links one place to another, then places both inside a larger structure. A route becomes a pattern. A pattern becomes a map. A map becomes confidence. And confidence changes how a person feels in the world. When you know where you are, your nervous system relaxes. When you do not, even a safe place can become threatening. This is why getting lost feels so ancient. The panic arrives faster than logic. Your body remembers the old rule. Not knowing where you are is danger. Ancient humans lived closer to that rule, but they also practiced the antidote every day. Children learned by walking. Adults taught through repetition. Groups carried knowledge across generations. The map was distributed across people. No one had the whole world. But the group held enough. And this is where the story becomes more emotional. Modern life has given us safety ancient people would have envied. We can cross cities at night under artificial light. We can call for help. We can fly over oceans in hours. We can find a hospital, a hotel, a restaurant, with a machine in our hand. That is extraordinary. But every convenience has a shadow. Ancient people had less certainty, but more orientation. Less speed, but more contact with the path. Less information, but more attention to the place they were actually standing in. We should not romanticize that suffering. Still, they inhabited their routes in a way many modern people no longer do. We pass through places without entering them. We arrive without remembering. We move without belonging. The real lesson is not that ancient humans lacked maps. It is that their maps were not separate from them. They were carried in the muscles of the legs, in the eyes trained to notice, in the hippocampus shaped by use, in the elder's story, in the song, in the stars, in the shoreline, in the wind, in the remembered shape of the land. The ancient map was not an object. It was a relationship. Modern GPS solved an ancient terror. It made getting lost less likely. It saved time, opened unfamiliar cities, helped emergency services, and made movement easier. The gain is real. But the trade is also real. When the device always knows, you do not always have to know. When the voice tells you every turn, you do not have to look ahead. The place may never become part of you. The technology changed. The need did not. Go back to your phone. The next time the map opens, watch the blue dot appear. Watch how quickly it gives you certainty. You type the destination. The route draws itself. The voice begins. You follow. And maybe you arrive perfectly. But ask yourself, what entered memory? Do you know which way the river was? Do you remember the curve of the road, the building on the corner, the slope beneath your feet? Could you return without the phone? Did the place become real inside you? Or did it pass across the glass and disappear? This does not mean you should throw away the technology. It means you should understand what it replaced. It replaced not only paper maps, but a form of attention. It replaced the slow construction of an inner world with perfect instructions from outside the self. And perhaps that is why a person can be more connected than any ancestor and still feel strangely unplaced. More guided, but less oriented. Your ancestors crossed forests, ice, savannas, coastlines, deserts, and seas with no blue dot blinking on a screen. Some made mistakes. Some never returned. The ancient world was not gentle, but those who survived learned to make the world legible. They turned land into memory. They turned memory into story. They turned story into a path. And somewhere inside you, under the notifications, under the glass, under the voice that says, "Turn left," that older system is still waiting. Not gone, just unused. We did not lose the ability. We lost the conditions. The app knows the route, but the body still wants to know the world.